Welcome to Bridging Generations, an Age UK Norwich podcast, brought to you by the communities team at Age UK Norwich and Norwich Together, connecting younger and older people to discuss a range of different topics and themes and to share their experiences. Welcome back to Bridging Generations. My name's Ed, and I'm delighted to be joined with an Age UK Norwich community member, Stephen. And this episode, we're just going to be really getting to know Stephen, talking about his interests. So first of all, I know you're into music. What type of music were you into growing up?
Yeah, I met Ozzy Osbourne in about 1970 when they were started. I used to go to Leicester University, who had free theatres, if you like, and he was on. They were just started up, and I used to go into the bar, which is called the Redfern Bar, and who should I meet after the show but Ozzy?
Yeah,
I used to get in everywhere, and we sat, and I talked to him. I sat drinking bourbon with him, and we had a right laugh. Yeah, I don't know. It wasn't Sheeran Osbourne. He was with somebody.
yeah.
I can't remember her name, but yeah, I met Ozzy. I met a few. John Lennon, I met him when I was very young. I was, 9, I think I was. And my cousin, my dad didn't want me to go, but we went to queue for tickets, and we couldn't get tickets. So on the night, we went to the theatre, and we went round the back, and we were stood round the back where the van was. We sneaked in, and when they come out after the theatre, with John Lennon, they were all there. I was 8 or 9, but he talked to my cousin. My cousin got his autograph on a cigarette packet, but I never did get it. I never did see it. Yeah, brilliant.
Wow.
Yeah. But no, I've met a few people in my life. One of the heroes. I went to not too long ago, about 8 years ago. I don't know whether you know the Gunton Arms. The Gunton Arms is a beautiful restaurant hotel. I met Stephen Fry there, and I sat and talked to him for about a quarter of an hour because he's bipolar as well as I am. You see, he was having a meal with some of his friends, and I just chipped in and said, "Oh, hello, Steve. How are you? All right. I love your program, QI." He says, "Oh, do you?" I said, "Oh, by the way, I'm a Stephen as well. You know." He says, "Oh, yeah." I said, "You're bipolar." He says, "Yeah." I said, "Well, so am I." You know, and we got chatting for a bit. Yeah. But what the amazing thing was that when I come to get the bill for my dinner, I think it was a £20 bottle of wine I'd had. Stephen had paid for it.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, lovely bloke, really clever.
So would you say he was you mentioned in heroes there, out of the people you've met, he's probably, what was he, one of your biggest heroes or the biggest hero out of those?
Yeah, it still is. I find him fascinating. Have you ever watched him? He did it with, trying to remember his name now. His name was Hitchens. I can't remember his first name. On YouTube, there's a debate between, I think his name was Michael Hitchens, Stephen Fry, and Mo, what were her name, the politician, and a Catholic priest, and he was arguing about religion.
No,
For and against. Brilliant. It's on about an hour. It's a debate, and Stephen Fry absolutely destroys the Catholic Church. They just had no answer to it. You know, his argument was they just didn't have a clue. But it's worth watching.
Yeah,
worth watching if you ever get a chance to watch it. Yeah, I'm trying to think of his name. It might have been Stephen Hitchens, but they had an hour-long debate, and it's really good. But going back to the 70s, that 60s, 70s, I loved it. That was my era. You know, I was 15 in 71, and I was just at the end of the 60s. But I used to go dancing when I was 12. I used to go out. They used to have a Saturday morning dance with all the bands. Well, not bands, but they did have a band on actually. I tell you who else was on, and he still owes me £4. Engelbert Humperdinck.
Really?
His name then was Jerry Dorsey, and he used to sing at the local pally. And I lent him £4, and then he went on to become famous. And I never did get it back.
Well, this is your public plea for it back now.
Yeah. Engelbert, wherever you are, you owe me £4 if he's still alive. But I've met a few people, in my time. I'm 67. I've met a lot. I used to go to a lot of bands. The Stones I've seen in Leicester. Never met Mick briefly. We had a behind the stage pass because I used to know like the doormen, the bouncers.
Yeah.
And they got me behind the scenes. I just seen Brick Meafley just say hello, and that was it.
Yeah.
He was very well spoken, but he's a college boy. But I was never really that keen on the Stones, to be honest.
Yeah. So what music was your real go-to to say, well, let's do that period. So it's the 60s and 70s.
Yeah, I was mixed, really. I mean, I would say I started with, I like things like the Beatles, the Kinks and bands like that, pop. But later on, I was more into American soul, the Supremes, and then later I got into rock, like Emerson, Lake and Palmer, Deep Purple, Black Sabbath, all these bands. So I've had. I'm not on one genre. I like a lot of music, a lot of types. I can sit and watch an opera. I don't understand it, but I can watch it.
Really?
Yeah, I like all sorts of music, but the 60s and 70s were my favourite. The beauty of the music then was you could listen to the words, you can hear the words, you can hear the story that's told in the words. Nowadays, you're hard pressed to understand one word to say. It's all synth music. It's just, I just don't like it anymore. Very few singers nowadays I like. In fact, I can't name one.
Do you feel that's a lot to do with just the type of artist that a lot of them, probably a lot of artists still now are songwriters, but in the decades you're talking about, they're really sort of crafting their own music and their own style, whereas now...
Yeah. I mean, you've got you only have to listen to some of the Beatles songs, especially McCartney's. You can understand every word that's said. Penny Lane, Eleanor Rigby, etc. Every word, it means a story. It's a story that you can understand. I couldn't name you a band in the last 10 years. I don't know any of them.
Yeah. So no one's really caught your eye in the sort of recent decade.
Nobody.
Just gone.
No. What's his name? The guy from Ipswich.
Ed Sheeran.
Ed Sheeran. I like some of his stuff, but it all seemed the same. Yeah. There's no variety in where he sings. You look at the Beatles, they can go from something rock and roll to a ballad. They could do the whole lot, the whole range. And a lot of the bands then did. They did rock and roll and they did ballads. So they had a big repertoire, where Ed Sheeran's stuff is all the same to me. I've seen Ed Sheeran, by the way. The Riverside.
Yeah.
He had a friend and he got a flat on the Riverside overlooking the river. And he was sat on the balcony playing his guitar.
Did you manage to meet him, or you just watch him from afar?
No, I just watched him from the bridge. There were loads of girls and that there watching him. Yeah, you could see him sitting there. The walkway bridge where you walk over.
Yeah.
It was to the right of that, sitting on a balcony with some other guy singing and playing his guitar. But I'm not.
That's an interesting thing to see just on a day out.
Yeah, I've seen better buskers in Norwich, in my opinion.
That's a strong statement.
Well, there used to be one guy who played guitar, and he was brilliant. He could play anything. I can't remember his name now, but he used to play. Trying to remember the name of the song now. It was the theme to the Deer Hunter film, and he played that brilliantly. And also there was a girl that used to play right in the centre near the market. Her name was Jade. I don't know what happened to her in the band because she did play the O2, a small part of the O2, but she was good. Yeah, but there used to be some good ones in Norwich, some good buskers. But there you go, you know. If you discovered, you discovered. If you're not, you're not.
Yeah. What was your, as you touched on there, your favourite artist? I just wondered if you've got a song from maybe that period or a song even after that period that stands out to you as like one of your favourite songs, or a song that when you first heard it, you were like, wow.
Beatles songs. I don't know really. I think Eleanor Rigby is a good one. But saying that, talking a bit later in the 70s, I like Squeeze. Squeeze their music's excellent. I don't know whether you heard any Squeeze.
I haven't, no.
Up the Call for Cats, Up the Junction. They tell a song. I tell you who was in it. Jules Holland was in the keyboard player.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
What?
That's where it started.
No.
They did one LP, but they had a lot of I think they had about 3 or 4 number ones. Yeah, Up the Junction was number one. Call for Cats was number one. They did, what was another one? Clouds in My Coffee. But each song is very much a song about ordinary life, really. You know, ordinary day-to-day life. Very good.
Yeah.
Very good. Brilliant album. It's just called Squeeze, the album, that's it. You know.
Yeah.
But, it's worth it. If you've never heard it, go on YouTube and look for Up the Junction by Squeeze and listen to the words.
Will do. But, so you mentioned the music in that period, but what else in that sort of couple of decades, that era, was what did you really like, or why was that, do you consider that the best decades?
I like the clothes.
What type of stuff did you usually wear?
Flares. I always had my suits made, you know.
Yeah.
Big wide collars, big silk ties. I was around about, really, in a way. I was in the flower power period as well, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Flowery shirts, stuff like that. Yeah. But we always used to wear suits. I mean, everybody had a suit. If you went out at night, you wore a suit. But it was a modern suit, you know, double-breasted. It had the eye collars that stood right up, you know. But I used to go to a tailor and have my made. You know, I could have I'm going back there, and I weren't earning much. But I think it cost me about £30 to have a suit made, handmade. It used to take about 3 weeks. And
so you were quite into fashion then, really, weren't you? Yeah,
I was. But I do miss some days. You know, I've done a lot of things. You know, I've been surfing. Yeah. I've sailed, had a sailing boat. I've done windsurfing. I've done so many things. That is why, to be honest, at the moment, I'm to a stage in my life where I think, what next?
Yeah.
You know, because I've done so much. It's hard to me to get into a new hobby, if you like.
Yeah.
Because I've done them all.
Do you feel like, it's like there's no...
I've done it all. There's nothing. I keep thinking to myself, I need something new in my life.
Yeah.
And I just can't find it, you know.
Well, you mentioned the sort of sailing and surfing. Would you ever be interested in, you know, doing some more sailing, or?
I doubt it. Well, I might sail. I'd sail a boat again. Yeah, I could do that. I think my friend's got one. He'd probably let me take it out if I wanted to on the Broads. But I've lost a lot of interest in that. I think about the only thing I've not done is fly a plane. I used to race cars, and I've raced bikes as well.
Really? What type of cars was it? Just
rallycross.
Yeah.
I used to do rallycross. I had a Mini Cooper S for a while. I've been through a wood in the snow at 140.
Whoa.
And the fastest I've been in a car is 211. That was a Porsche 911, souped up to race. And I did it in Leicester on the old aerodrome there. and flat out I got it to 211.
Was that scary, or did you just find it pure, thrilling?
I loved it. Oh, just thrilling. I just got such an adrenaline rush. I've always liked driving fast. Motorbike's the same. I've done 160 on a bike round the track. I only used to race. I never got my license for racing. I think I had to do, what was it? I think it was 12 races without incident to get me full license. But my bike packed in, so I just never did get my license to race properly.
Yeah.
Because I wasn't bad at it, actually. I'm quite good. You know, I mean, I met a few old racing drivers. I met Graham Hill. You probably wouldn't remember him. Jody Scheckter. Barry Sheen I met. I've got a photograph somewhere of me sitting on his bike. But no, I've been about a lot.
Well, you touched on the motorbikes, and I was just thinking, what's the best purchase you've made? Is it sort of like a vehicle like that, or like one of your favourite things you purchased, or is there anything else?
The best bike I ever had was probably I'm going back to an old bike. It was an ex-race bike, and it was a BSA Gold Star, but it had been souped up to race. So that was about the best bike I had. Car-wise, Jag. But
nice.
No, I've had loads of Jag. I've had loads of cars. I've had all sorts.
Yeah.
But I did like my Mark II Jag, the old-fashioned shape one. Really nice. But I've done a lot of things. You know, I've met a lot of people. I used to love windsurfing. I liked the scene, if you know what I mean. The culture around surfing.
Yeah. Sort of the relaxed vibe.
I love the surfing culture. Oh, yeah, dead chilled. Yeah, really good. I used to take my caravan with all my gear on and get to pool in Dorset a lot.
Yeah.
Used to go out on the sea. Really good. Yeah, great.
So are you a big fan of going to the coast?
Oh, I love the sea. Yeah, I love it.
Yeah.
Love the sea. If I won the lottery, I'd get a big yacht. Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
I feel like I'm on the same sort of wave with you with that.
Yeah, I'd sail all over the place. I'll be down to the Med, go down to the Med, around the Greek islands, do all that.
Have you been there before? Because I just wanted to actually ask where.
No, I'm not. I like to go around the Greek islands, really.
Yeah.
Do all the Greek islands. Italy, I'd like to go. In fact, to be honest, if I won the lottery, I know where I'd follow. I'd follow the Grand Prix around the world.
That's great.
I'd go to every one, wherever they were, I'd go.
Yeah.
First class hotel. You know, I could just see me sitting with gin and tonic on a balcony in Monaco.
Yeah.
That'd be my idea of heaven. Watching the cars go around. Yeah, I'd love that.
So,
yeah.
Do you still? I'm guessing you watch the F1 regularly then.
Yeah. The trouble is with it now. The cars are so similar, but if you've got the best car, it doesn't matter which driver you got. If you've got the best car, you win.
Yeah.
You know, and that's it. It's more about the car than about the driver. That's what I don't, which I'm not so keen on.
When do you think that changed? The period of when obviously the driving technology got so good, every car is at such a high level, but it's now.
I would say the 90s.
That's when it sort of the driver wasn't as important.
Before then, no, yeah, I'll tell you about the 90s. After Senna were killed, really, it seemed to change. But they're so similar, the cars are. I mean, they're so different, really. It depends how much. If you're driving, if your team has got the most money, you're going to win, basically.
Yeah.
New cars are coming, like Aston Martin has got a team.
Yeah.
And they're slowly getting there, which is good because it's a British car. But when you say that, most of the cars are developed in England. People like AMG and you've got Aston Martin over here.
Well, you mentioned going to the Grand Prix. If you won the lottery and you travel around the world, sounds like to me that you'd love to do a bit of traveling. Is that something you'd be thinking about doing if you had the opportunity?
Yeah. If I got the opportunity, I'd definitely travel. Yeah, there's certain places I'd like to go. I've never really fancied America for some reason. I've known a couple of people who've gone there and they didn't like it. They said the people you've got to be very careful where you go in America. But I like, I'd go around Europe. I'd follow the Grand Prix to America. I'd go anywhere with the Grand Prix,
Yeah.
But I'd love to do that. I mean, that's my ideal life. I'd even go Russia, China. I'd go to any of them to see the Grand Prix. Yeah.
And I know you mentioned, well, you're into history, and I was just thinking, is there any sort of period of history that really fascinates you, or any period of history that, or an era that you think, oh, I'd love to live in that era?
It may seem strange, but I'd like to have lived in the 40s. I love anything to do with the Second World War. The reason is I was born 1954, and 10 years before that, my uncle was running up the beach at Gold Beach. He was the only one that ever came back. So I was born 10 years. I was born at 6 o'clock in the morning, 10 years to the minute of D-Day.
Whoa.
So it's always had like a thing in my mind,
Yeah.
And I listen to lots of audio books. I've read loads of books on it. And I say, I've got a magazine that was printed in 1942 by my uncle's battery, and all the blokes got together and they all write little poems or jokes and draw jokes and that. And I've got a magazine, it's called Essayac, and it was when they went to Brook. And I've looked it up, and you can't Google it, you can't find it. And it took me 2, 3, 4 years to find another copy, and that's the wife of the editor who did it, who was a captain. But I rang up the National Archives and the British War Museum, and they haven't got a copy. It's astonishing.
No.
Yeah. It's about 40 pages thick. But what they used to do, they used to do it in pencil, ship it back to Britain. It was printed, and then it was given to the soldiers. Well, there was only 55 people in a battery, and I've got Christmas 42. So you imagine there was only 55 printed, and how many people kept them?
Yeah.
Nobody. But my uncle gave me his copies. I've got 2 copies. So as far as I can find out, mine is only one of 2 left on the planet. When I pass away, it'll end up in the museum, I suppose. But it must be worth a few, Bob.
Yeah. So
if you give me a second, bear with me. I'll show you it.
Okay, no worries.
Right, see if you can see it.
Yeah, I can. So what, he went to, did it say Tripoli there?
To Brook. Tripoli. All around there. And inside it's got, I'll show you an inside picture. Yeah, it's got a picture of the battery there. I'll show you it. There's all the men.
Yeah.
But I know that as far as I can find out, the only person that's got a copy is the daughter of the chap. His name was E.G. Porter, and he went on to become the editor of the Telegraph. And his daughter's got 1 copy. So there's none about, that's it.
Well, it's a nice thing to keep in treasure, really, isn't it?
Oh, it's very interesting as well.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of jokes in it. There's a lot of stories, tales. There's a lot of cartoons in it as well. Some of them are not very PC. Just things like that. Cartoons. There's all sorts of things in it. It's very interesting. I won't think about it. It's what, 60, 70 odd years old?
Yeah.
42. So 58, 68, 70, 78 years old. In fact, 79. Next year, it'll be 80-year-old. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it survived it carried that all the way up through Italy, all the way back through till he got home. And then I think he went to Germany afterwards.
It's in very good condition considering.
Yeah, well, I'll look after it. But I've got 2 copies. This one's dated August to February 1942-43.
Very interested in World War II. Is that the period of history that you'd say you're most interested in?
Yeah, that is a period. That is
Yeah.
a period. If we're given the choice, if I was ever in World War II, driving fast things and that, I'd have loved to have been a Spitfire pilot. That would have been my ideal.
And you mentioned earlier the planes.
I'd love to. I'd
Yeah.
love to have a go at flying.
Mm.
Yeah, I mean, if I'd got the money, let's say again, if I won the lottery, I'd have flying lessons, without doubt.
Well,
in fact, to be honest, if I get the euro, I'll be able to buy my own plane. Why go down the motorways when I can fly?
We've obviously talked about, reflections on past decades and what you've been interested in, but what type of things do you do at the moment? Are you currently trying to write a book?
I was trying to write, but I'm trying to write my life story, but I'm struggling a bit. I'm only at the age of 10 so far. But, I'll keep doing a bit now and again. I do write poetry, but it's usually when I'm manic, when we're bipolar.
Yeah.
When you're manic, you get very creative. There's it's like a part of your mind that you don't use opens up. It's very strange. You feel brilliant.
Do you try to capture that in the moment and then, use that creativity?
Well, when I'm like that, I paint and I write poetry.
What type of poetry or poetry style do you usually try to go to, or do you mix it up?
I mix it up. It's different. It's mainly about things in life,
Yeah.
I've done one about bipolar. I can't remember it, otherwise I'd read it to you. But I've done one about bipolar. I've done one about all sorts, all different things in life. My friend Jeff, he's got 29 published. He's starting me off on it. There's a site called Poem Hunter.
Yeah.
Right? And you can if you do poems, you can put it on their site. And it shows you how many hits you can get. If you've got a lot of hits, you have so many hits, like you would with putting it on eBay, and you can see how many people have looked at it. And the one about bipolar, I put that on, and I've got, so far, I'm up to about 300 and something people have looked at it.
Nice. That must feel quite satisfying.
I'd like to try and write a song one day, just to try and write a song.
Is that more lyrics, or can you play instruments as well?
No, I can't play. I'm afraid I can't play. I've got a guitar. I cannot play to save my life. But I do the lyrics. I'd probably be able to get the tune in my head.
Yeah.
If you know what I mean.
You got something to work with.
Yeah. I'd get a tune in my head if I wrote the lyrics down. I think I could find a tune, in my head out of the vapor. But I've not really tried to do it for a bit. But as I say, I'm better when I'm hyper. When I'm hyper, then say it's very strange. The amount of people that have been bipolar are famous: Stephen Fry, Robbie Williams, Carrie Fisher, Winston Churchill. They've all been bipolar. There's many more that are, one or two artists that say are bipolar.
Yeah.
But it does. Nobody's explained it. Nobody can explain it. But how I'd explain it is it opens a part of your mind that you can't normally access. A creative part of your mind. Something opens, and it's just like turning a switch. And all of a sudden, you look at the world in a different light. And you seem to know more. It's very strange.
Yeah.
But you ask anybody who's bipolar, and they've all got a talent of some description. I don't know what it is that does it. Nobody does. But they reckon we only use a small proportion of his brain is only used. We don't access a lot of it.
And your talent seems like it's with words, wouldn't it?
Yeah,
if you're poetry, and you mentioned you have ambitions of writing a song, and just general creativeness with painting.
I paint abstract as well.
Is that your go-to style for painting abstract?
Yeah, I'll show you one.
Oh, that's cool. So what, you did that? How long ago did you do that one?
That one's about 5 years old.
Yeah.
And I did this one. This is abstract.
Oh, that's nice. Do you have any sort of description of what that second one was? Because
the second one, I just called it David Bowie.
Yeah.
It's got that sort of look about
Yeah,
it.
it
You know
does.
what I mean?
Yeah. It's nice.
But it just comes out my head. You know, I literally start with one brush stroke, and I think, and it just comes, it just appears as a paint. I think I painted that in about 15, 20 minutes. That's all.
Really?
Yeah.
Very impressive in that short time.
It's sort of pop art, isn't it?
Yeah. Those bright colours.
Pop art. Yeah, I like bright colours.
Mm.
The one with the square sun in it, I call that my bipolar sun. I don't know why, but I do. It's my bipolar sun.
Yeah.
It expresses how my mind feels. You know, I'm either outside in the dark or I'm in the middle in the bright, and everything's brilliant. But I've done quite a few. I've got there's two hanging in the offices at Elsden.
Have you ever tried to maybe put them in an exhibition, or is it really only for personal enjoyment?
There's a shop near me that does art, and they do have exhibitions. I could do with sitting down and doing quite a collection. I think I've got about 8 or 9 at the moment, because I've given some away. But you know what I mean? A lot of people have seen them, said they're nice. I like them, you know. And I think to myself, well, people have paid £40 for a print.
Yeah.
These are originals. You know what I mean?
Just need your signature.
The bipolar sun, I won't take a penny less than £1,000 for it. You know, it means that much to me.
Yeah. Isn't that so good though? Isn't that so good that something that you've created just, you know, in a moment of, you know, just real productivity and creative spirit is now got that such sentimental value to you that it's
it is. It's great.
Yeah.
I'd never get rid of it. I wouldn't sell it anyway. If somebody offered me money, I wouldn't sell it because I like it. You know, I've done a few. I've always been good at art. Even when I was at school, I could draw quite well. The only thing I can't do very well is faces. It's funny. I can draw an animal. I can draw a dog, or draw a cow or a pig or whatever. But when it comes to human faces, I can't copy faces. I couldn't do a portrait. I just can't quite get that. I think portrait painting's got to be probably the hardest painting there is.
Yeah, I mean, from my experience at school, I feel like when it was the portrait painting, it was the hardest one. It was something I couldn't.
Yeah.
I enjoy doing all the other stuff, but the portrait painting is very difficult to sort of master.
It is hard to get a likeness. Yeah, I can do a person, but I can't do any specific person, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
If somebody said draw a picture of John Lennon, even if I had the picture in front of me, I still couldn't copy it. I just can't get the expression.
It's probably because when we look at the portraits of different people, we've got such specific, you know, criteria of what their face looks like.
But it's like, I don't know if you've ever seen any of the pictures John Lennon did himself.
No, I haven't.
Portraits. And it's about 5 squiggly lines. But just doing them 5 lines, you can see it's John Lennon. You know, it's just like getting his nose, getting the glasses, the shape of his face. Boom, you know, it's John Lennon. You know, it's some people can do that.
Yeah,
brilliant. I wish I could, but I can't. You know, I've tried to draw people before. I've sat in a pub and tried to draw people sitting there, just doing something, playing dominoes or something. And no, I can't get the likeness.
Yeah,
I'm nearly there, but not quite. You know, nobody would recognise it. If I said, "Look, this is Harold," they'd say, "No, it ain't."
Comes with a lot of practice, I guess.
Yeah. No, I've been practicing for years. I'll never be able to do portrait. I can do landscapes to an extent, you know, but then again, mine is slightly abstract. I couldn't sit and draw every leaf on a tree. You know what I mean? Yeah. And yet some people could do that. They get every blade of grass, everything there. It's not nearly a photograph. I can't paint that well.
But is that partly because that you because you like abstract paintings, you want to, create something that has a lot more interpretation behind it.
That's it. I'd soon have something like, I don't really call it, I think probably call it expressionism.
Yeah.
More than abstract. Expressionism, I'd say that's what I do. Expresses a feeling or a mood,
And I mean, I don't know, for you as a painter, do you mind if someone looks at a painting and says, "Oh, from this painting, I feel this," or picking up this feeling, but someone they're with next to it would say, "Oh, I've got a completely opposite feeling from it."
Yeah, well, that'd be good.
Would you like that, or would you want them to only to? You have an aim of what people want to evoke from it, and that's what you want. So if you want them to feel sort of,
I have an aim. My aim, yes, but if somebody interprets it differently, it wouldn't bother me.
Yeah,
as long as they see something in it.
Yeah,
that's the main thing. If they see something in it, if it means something different to them, fine, not a problem. But no, I enjoy painting. I always have done. Yeah. Even from being really small, being a child, I've liked painting and drawing. I did carving. I used to do carving as well. I've not done that for a long while.
Yeah.
I used to carve. I did a carving of a dolphin when I was at school, and that was in the local education's art book. I got it put in that. It was published in that. But that's going back. I used to carve quite a lot, but I had a tendency to make walking sticks and then get some wood and carve something on the top. Yeah. I used to do a lot of dogs and squirrels and things like that.
Nice.
Ducks' heads. I used to carve them, put them on top of the walking sticks. Yeah, I'm quite good at carving as well. But things I don't do much now. But then again, I don't know when I'm going to be hyper. When you're bipolar, one day you're down, next day you're hyper, and that's it. I've not been hyper now for quite a while.
Yeah.
But that's a medication. That's a medication I take. But with being hyper comes both high and you can be low at the same time. It's good, but then again, it's bad. But everything races when you're hyper, going a million miles an hour. Your thoughts. Yeah. I invent things. I'll sit down and do an invention. I'll draw something. What did I invent? And I'd love somebody to take it on. If you get a solar panel, a small one, put a magnifying glass in front of it, right, to magnify the rays of the sun, it increases the output by 100%.
Right, there's that sort of classic thing where, isn't it? Where
you burn paper with it. Yeah. But if you can imagine all these solar panels with recycled glass, magnifying glasses in front, even on poor weather, it'd increase the performance no end.
Yeah.
So that's something that come out of my head. And I tried it. I had an old solar panel light, and I hooked up a voltmeter on it, and it was kicking out something like 1 volt, and I got it to kick out about 15 by putting a magnifying glass on it. So that's like 1,500%.
Yeah.
So if I could find somebody to take it on, I'd probably make billions.
Yeah, and then you can go traveling across the world and see the Grand Prix.
Yeah. It's finding somebody to take it on, the idea, and make it, put it in production.
See, it's all there. There's no need for the lottery.
Well, another thing as well, all boats are powered by diesel and oil.
Yeah.
Right? And yet, when you go to the seaside, boats have got, the sea's coming in, windmills for power. So, going back to the old sailing days, why don't you put windmills on tankers to generate electric, because there's always wind at sea, to drive them along?
Maybe it's the cost, I don't know.
Well, how much does diesel cost? I mean, they use tons and tons and tons of oil to drive a boat, even if it wasn't full. If it was hybrid, and they charge some batteries that it could use when the batteries are full, use electric, and at other times use a diesel. But while you're using the diesel, the wind turbines will be turning, so you'd be generating electricity all the time. You know, it's there's lots of things you can do with it.
Are you quite into?
I have all these weird ideas.
Oh, I was just going to say, are you quite into, thinking about sustainable ways of creating energy?
Yeah. But I think that, well, I know because I've proved it myself. The magnifying glass in front of solar panels works.
Yeah.
I mean, I've proved it to myself that it does work. And it's as simple as I've worked it out. If you had a metre square solar panel, you'd need a metre square magnifying glass. You wouldn't have to put it out right till it got really hot. But if you put it about a metre away, it'd increase tenfold the amount of electricity.
Yeah.
And that's glass. And at the end of the day, glass is only sand at the end of the day. It's only melted sand. So, nobody's thought of that. The simplest thing, like when your kids used to burn things with a magnifying glass, because it creates so much heat. So nobody's thought of doing that. You imagine using, in the sunny countries, using magnifying glasses to heat water, which you could do in theory. You could heat water with magnifying glasses in big tanks, and then they could propel steam turbines and you could produce electricity. There's so many different options with that. And it's such a simple thing, but I'm surprised nobody thought of it.
Yeah, well,
there you go.
There's an opportunity for you to put your case
out.
Yeah,
it's getting in touch with the right people.
Yeah.
That's the thing. At the end of the day, it's getting in touch with the right people. Probably, I'd have to look for somebody who does solar panel. But you've got to be careful, because if you give them the idea and the pinch it, and it's £3,000 for a patent. I mean, I could do a drawing, a technical drawing of it, but to get it patented, it's £3,500. I've just told you could probably go away and do it.
Yeah.
If you do, just don't forget me.
Don't worry, I won't steal it. I'll let you have a go first, and if it doesn't work out, I'm gonna take it after.
We'll see. Well, if anybody watches this podcast, perhaps somebody's into solar panels that watches this podcast and can do it.
Yeah, we'll have to see.
But remember, it's me that thought of it first.
Yeah. Well, we've come to the end of today's episode. Just like to say thank you again to Stephen for joining us.
Okay then. Well, cheers, Ed. Bye.
Thank you for listening, and join us next time on Bridging Generations.